Welcome, welcome everybody. We're going to give people a chance to get settled and get logged in. I'm on about a minute early, so if you're catching the replay, welcome to session number 5 of the Financial Foundations to Entrepreneurial Peace Training. Learn the basics, learn the keys to financial basics and money mastery. So I'm so glad you are here for session number 5. I'm going to fix my light a little bit. It's a little bit bad. Switch that up a little bit. Okay. Hi, Alexis. Hope you're doing well. Would love to hear from you in the chat, even privately, just to hear how things are going for you all week. I appreciate you showing up every day. It's fantastic. We're going to give people another minute to join us. I know sometimes Friday, the weather is good. People are going to be out doing things to celebrate. And especially where I am in Canada, lots of things are opening up and lockdown is ending. So I know a lot of people are excited to be doing other things. So we'll give it a minute. Grab your workbook if you haven't got it in front of you. I'm going to drop the workbook link in the chat for you so that you've got that as we go through the session. Just grab that and put it in the chat so we'll be all set. Which is perfect. And I gotta grab one other thing. We'll be all ready. I'm looking forward to today. It's going to be a good day as we bring all of these pieces together, and we certainly tie it all up in terms of our formal sessions that we're going to do together. Today is the last day that we're going to make use of the workbook. So I'm so glad that you are here, whether you're catching us live or you're catching us on the replay. Light's still a little bit bad, so we'll fix that. Perfect. If there's any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Certainly you can put them for the group, or you can send them to me privately if there's something you don't want to share with everybody, because I know sometimes finances are personal. So we want to make sure that you're getting the support that you need. Okay. And we will get started. So again, you're in the right place for Financial Foundations training. Entrepreneurial Peace Training, learn the keys to financial basics and money mastery. Grab your workbook. I've dropped the link in the chat. If you've been using the same workbook all week, grab that workbook as well. And I'm excited. We had such a good week. I am so delighted with, number one, I talked about this earlier in the week, that the fact that you registered, the fact that you knew that taking control of the financial side of your business was absolutely critical, and you took that first step. So give yourself a round of applause. I know for so many of you that I've spoken to, that we've seen here on live, that I've corresponded with by email, I know that you have had some takeaways from the days that you participated. I know that you've got an action item list, things you're going to put into practice. And what I really want to challenge you on is what's going to be different this time. You've probably had this list before. Even Helen mentioned it when she was on the other day live. She's been catching the replays because she's at her cottage. But what's going to be different this time? You've got your list. You still got those 50 other priorities in your business. What's going to be different to help you put those into motion? And so I extended an invitation yesterday for you to join me for the Cash Control Bootcamp. It's a fabulous program. It's a live online group program where we get together 6 weeks in a row, hour-and-a-half sessions. The training is live with me. You're getting the benefit of all my experience. The group is generally small, so you're going to be able to ask any questions that you have related to the topic we're learning that week, or anything that's going on in your business. We also have 2 live office hour sessions where you can pop by and just get some help, because we're actually going to tangibly work through profit versus cash flow. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty in your business. We're going to create a cash flow forecast. There's a pricing tool we're going to work through so you can assess the pricing. Wednesday's session was so well received, so many great comments, and it brought up so much for so many of us around our money stories. So while it is about math, it's also about our value and our worth and what we feel about that. So we're going to dig into that. We're going to look at profit leaks. We're going to dig deeper on those money conversations and more scripts to help guide us. And I'm running around right now, and some of you may have seen my social post yesterday. In this week's training, somebody fluently used one of the new terms that they learned in a sentence as they were talking about their business. And I stopped them in their tracks and said, did you realize what happened? You've already gone from not knowing what that was 3 weeks ago to now you know, and you're actually using it in a sentence as you ask your question and formulate your strategies for going forward. So learning and getting the foundation doesn't take a long time. You can realistically improve your knowledge, improve your acumen, be able to take steps in your business that can make change. So if you were happy with the first half of the year, you can make it even better. If you weren't happy with how it went, maybe your business was impacted by COVID, maybe some other things were going on, you can definitely make things different. And I can tell you that the things that you're going to learn in there absolutely can put into practice quickly with the support and the guidance, and be able to make modest changes that actually change your cash flow. They change your bottom line tremendously. And so I highly invite you to join us for that Cash Control Bootcamp. Some of you might be thinking, it's not the right time, Tracy. I want to kind of coast through the summer. I want to take some time off. Not really ideal for me. We're kicking things off on July the 8th. So if not now, when? That's my question to you. And realistically, if you own a business, how often have you taken off that much time? Could you make this a priority? Could you fit this in around everything else that you are doing so that you can see your last 6 months of the year finish super strong? So that's one thing I've been hearing. I've also been hearing that I'm just getting things going in my business. I can't really make that investment right now. And so that's a legitimate concern, and there's no pressure absolutely for anyone to join. But I know that certainly people do have personal resources. And so if you think about it from a business that has a physical space, a physical location, they're going to have bricks and mortar, they may have to purchase inventory. Those kinds of businesses are already making investments to be able to open. So if you're a service-based provider, you're able to work from home, whatever you're doing, think about it kind of the same. If you make that investment in yourself, you will absolutely see your return, and it will be able to kickstart your business, and you're going to set it off on the absolute right foot. So those are some of the things I've been hearing. Certainly busyness is another concern. But again, it's if not now, when? What's going to change? And I think you really want to critically ask yourself, if I do it on my own, will I be successful? I've got this action item list now that I've got in place, but will I be able to be successful and do this and implement it on my own? Or am I going to be, when Tracy reaches out to me in a month or 2 months' time, am I still going to have my to-do list that I haven't been able to implement? And so that's really the question you need to ask yourself. And I'm happy to talk through that with you. So I'm going to pop in the chat how to book a call with me. And these are implementation calls so that certainly you can get what you need to be able to talk it through. I want to help you formulate your action plan. And if that involves working with me, that's fantastic. If you're going to do it on your own, that's fantastic too. Because the goal for me is that you get what you need and you're able to do what you need to do. So here it is. All right, I'm dropping that in the chat. You're also seeing that link if you're getting my emails. They come out an hour before the session in the morning. They might be in your spam. They also may be in your junk, some other place. They're coming out an hour before the session in the morning. They're coming out in the afternoon as well. So I want to make sure you're checking for that. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about those things you have on your action item list, how you're going to put them into practice, how you're going to make those changes in your business, and whether or not I can support you with that or you feel like you've got it. And so it's really my privilege to help you take it to the next step. We've had these 5 days, and today's going to be our 5th day of training, and I want to make sure that you're actually taking it further because you made that critical first step by stepping up to register. So I know that it's important to you that you make a change in your business financially. That you take control of that financial side of your business. And I want to make sure that you have support to do that. And sometimes it's just bouncing this list off of someone else so that you can make sure that you've got it handled. Okay. As well, want to make an announcement around our bonus sessions. So bear with me, I'm digging for my papers because my little workplace here is a little bit small. We've got bonus sessions. So today's wrapping up the 5 sessions we've got in our workbook. We're going into bonus sessions tomorrow. So tomorrow at 11 a.m., we're doing Q&A with me. Your opportunity to ask any questions, and particularly around your implementation. How are you going to take the things that you've learned and implement them in your business? How are you going to take it to the next level? What are your next steps? As well as we're going to talk through some of the common questions that people are having about the program and whether it's a good fit for them. And so the session's really about, is this good for you? How do you figure that out? And having that chat. As I said, pricing, which we did on Wednesday, was extremely well received. There's a bonus session on Sunday that's all around the mindset for entrepreneurial piece. And as I mentioned on Wednesday, we're going to be digging into your money mindset. And I'm going to share with you the different mindsets, how you can identify where yours is and what your mind thinks about, as well as if you're not happy with your current mindset, how you can actually go about making some changes. And that session is usually well received. I know it's Sunday morning, so many of you may have plans. If the weather's good, you're probably going to try to get outside. But please try to catch that one on the replay if you can't make it live, because it will, something you're going to percolate on, you're going to think about it, and it's actually going to lead to changes in your life. Because as I mentioned Wednesday, our views around money form when we are 5, 6, 7 years old. And those views, those beliefs, whatever they may be, good or bad, stay with us our whole entire life. And we have the power to change it, which is the great thing. But first, we need to be able to identify and to recognize it. So that's absolutely key. Monday, we're going into client case studies. So that's going to be a great session as well. You're going to hear from some of the past participants in the Cash Control Bootcamp and the impact this has made on their business. And then Tuesday, we're just going to wrap it up finally and put all those keys together, talk about everything with the program, and step forward into financial fitness. We're going to be taking down the replays Wednesday. So this is a great reminder. If there's sessions you haven't been able to catch this week, you want to watch those replays, please do so over the weekend, early in the week, because we are going to take those down on Wednesday. Okay. So I'm going to pause to see if there's any questions in the chat before I go in and I dive into today's session. So I am seeing one question here, so I want to address that. So I've got it says I've got a person for the financial stuff, a bookkeeper and an accountant. Do I need to know this stuff too? And so that's a great question. And so depending on how many sessions you've been to this week and what your initial starting point is, it is absolutely critical as a business owner that you take control of the financial side of the business. In order to do that, your financial acumen needs to increase. By no means do I think any of you as business leaders and the CEOs of your organizations need to do your own bookkeeping. I don't think that needs to be your job unless you want that to be your job and that's a skill set that you have. But you do absolutely need to take responsibility for the financial side of the business, which means you provide appropriate information and you communicate with your bookkeeper and your accountant. And when they provide you back with the results, that you actually read them, you understand what they say, and you make decisions based on those numbers that you're having. And so many of you signed up because that was an area you weren't really comfortable with before, which is absolutely natural. And it's very normal. I mentioned on Monday that often we, somehow business owners think that it's a negative that they don't know the financial side of their business. And I really challenge that. And sometimes there's embarrassment and shame. And I challenge that notion because it's just like anything else in business. Where would you have learned it? Who would have taught you? Certainly in Canada, and I know from what I've heard from US peers that the school system does a poor job teaching personal finance, let alone anything business finance related. So you built your business because you're passionate at what you do. There is no expectation that you would know how to do this stuff. And so making that investment in yourself, bringing up your financial acumen, being able to make those decisions with confidence, talk to all those key stakeholders with confidence, allows you to grow your business and do it the right way. And ease that burden, because what I see is you can almost envision like this heavy blanket on people's shoulders. And you can tell when people are distracted. You know when they don't have 100% attention on you when they're talking to you, all of those kinds of things. Everybody's seen it. You've witnessed it with someone at some point in time. When you're concerned about your cash flow, when you're concerned about money, it's like this heavy thing is weighing on you and you've got your focus split. So half of your brain is all the time focused on money. You're not sleeping well. You're not performing well for your clients. You're not focused on them. And so getting this piece in check lifts that. And I have been able to, while it is figuratively, I've watched the stress leave people's shoulders. I've watched that focus come back as they work through and they improve their knowledge around the financial side of their business. So you don't need to do the statements, you don't need to do the tax returns, you don't need to do the bookkeeping, but you absolutely need to understand it. You need to understand how those results drive your strategy and how do you make decisions going forward. And so great question. Thanks so much for asking it. I appreciate that. So that's perfect. Okay, so we're going to dive in and get started and see if there's anything else I left out. And just a reminder, the Cash Control Bootcamp, we're kicking off on July the 8th. So I'm going to drop the dates in there in the chat as well. So you've got them top of mind, as well as the link to register, because I know some of you were asking for that. All right, so open for enrollment July 8th through August 12th. Our sessions are at 12 p.m. Eastern, and then we've got the 2 one-hour office hour sessions, and all the details are there. You can see the full information on that link, and you can get registered right now. So if you're on the fence, you're not sure it's for you, you know you've got to do something, you're not sure if you can do it alone, you just want to talk through your implementation plan, book that call as well, so we can talk about it, and then we can figure out if that's the best thing for you. I know that some of you also may be thinking, I know I want to learn, but I don't want to do it in a group program. And so we can have that conversation as well. Is maybe your business a little bit bigger? Maybe you want a more customized approach. Maybe you want to get into your specific numbers, your specific challenges. Certainly, we do have solutions available for one-on-one work. And I won't talk about those here. We're here to finish the training today, and we're here to talk about the boot camp. But certainly, I welcome that conversation if you think you need some more support. And I work with so many clients on a private one-to-one basis so that we can focus on what you need, get you the answers that you need, and really bring up your confidence in a way that makes sense to you. Okay. All right. So as a reminder, in your workbook on page number 15, we've got resources, which are absolutely fantastic. So I want to share with you that you're able to check out all of those Young Money podcasts. These are the links to the audio. We have them on the YouTube channel as well. So if you've been catching out the replays, you can certainly find them there as well. And so we've got stuff around managing your cash flow, the top 3 biz money mistakes to avoid, pricing, how to deal with a financial planner, as well as some showcases of some really fantastic business owners. On page number 16, we've got biz money routines. And so we're going to touch on that a little bit today in context and certainly in conjunction with our stuff we're going to do. So we've had a great week. We started with session 1, we went into profit versus cash flow. Tuesday, session number 2, we went into how do we do cash flow forecasting. Wednesday in session 3, we covered off pricing, money stories, charging our worth, all of that kind of stuff. And then yesterday, session 4, was navigating those very important stakeholder conversations. And I know that session resonated really well with people. If you've got a takeaway from yesterday's session, drop it in the chat, or if you're catching on replay, shoot me an email. I'd love to know your biggest takeaway from that, so that can keep filling in that content and keep landing on the things that line up most for you. Certainly, we may have challenges when we're talking with our employees. We may certainly have challenges when we're trying to collect from our customers. And there's so many things that can happen, that having that confidence on the financial side, and the key being keeping it issue focused. When you're asking your customer to pay you and to pay their invoice, it's not, the reason isn't, as I've been saying, it's not because my cash flow is tight and I can't make payroll. That might be true, but that's not their business. What is their business is we made an arrangement. I delivered for you. I did my part of the arrangement. It is your turn now to pay your bill. And how can you do that? How can I help you make that payment? Do you need the invoice resent because you misplaced it? Do you need a little bit extra time? Do you need to know my account number so you can do it, or do you want to pay in a different way than you've usually paid? Get to the root of the issue and have that conversation, not bringing up all your insecurities around money. And so that's key. All right, so on page 11, session number 5, putting into practice your full set of keys. So this has been a theme throughout the whole week, and absolutely want to run through this today. So the first part, if we're at the top part of page number 11, in order to hit the goals you've set in your business, you need to be the CEO of your business. This includes being accountable for the financial results of the business. And so some of you, the term CEO may not land with you. So maybe it's founder, maybe it's owner. Interchange whatever word that you resonate with and put that in there, because the message is the same. Whether you are the CEO of a 100-employee company, or you're the leader of your own organization and you work for yourself, and you certainly have no other employees, and you're really in business for yourself, you're still the leader of that organization, and you absolutely need to be accountable for that stuff. So I'm just dropping that in the chat for you. Okay, so in order to hit the goals you have set for your business, you need to be the CEO of your business. That's the founder, that's the owner, whatever word you want to use, whatever resonates best with your values. So that includes being accountable for the financial results of the business. We turn our attention to our actual financial results, study our cash flow cycle, and forecast cash flow into the future. So that's the next part that's absolutely key. Let me grab that. Put that in the chat for you. Oh, I've done something a little bit strange there, so let me try again. Make sure I get it there in the right box so you're able to put that into your workbook. I'm gonna slow typer to put some of these words in here. Forecast cash flow into the future. Okay, so we've got that one there now too. When we have these basics covered, we can dig into profitability, pricing, and get paid consistently. And so that's certainly key as well, because most of us are not doing this just for the fun of it. We're not necessarily independently wealthy. We could be, and so maybe profit is not one of our goals. But for most of you, it is important that you do make a profit. And so sometimes I ask people what their goals are in their business, and they'll tell me, well, what do you mean? It's to make money. But that's not a given. And many people are not operating with that as an actual goal. And so strategies in the business are not actually aligned around that to make that happen. And what happens is when we're not getting paid, or when we're not making a profit, let's get that in here before I keep talking so I don't split my focus. And that was paid consistently. So bear with me. When we are not making a profit, we need to dig into why. Is our pricing not quite right? Do we have something off, and maybe we're losing money on everything that we sell, every product, every single service? I talked about how the clients I work with are certainly across all different industries, online, offline, service-based, brick and mortar-based. It doesn't really matter. The concepts are the same. And based on my background in lending and risk management, supporting entrepreneurs for 20 plus years, I've got a good handle on that. And I work with clients, generally sales are up to 2 million. After that, they've usually got professional financial assistants in their company, at least on a fractional basis. But 85% of the time, when we dig into pricing, they're not pricing it profitably. So they might be losing money just on those variable costs, those things we talked about that you have to pay whether or not you sell anything. Or it could be that the fixed costs, the overhead, the stuff we got to pay whether or not we sell anything, like our rent, like our insurance, like all those subscriptions to different softwares, when we have those and we've got to pay for them, we're not covering that. And so pricing is usually the culprit, But how this actually shows up is then we don't have very much cash flow, or we don't have sufficient. We're losing money, so we're always short. We're having trouble meeting those bills and making the ends meet, and we ourselves are not getting paid consistently. And that's probably one of the biggest complaints I hear from business owners. You have this dream of starting your business, you go into it, you're super excited. Things take longer than you think. So the time extends, the time to ramp up sales, the time to generate cash flow, all of that takes longer than you think. And that all costs money. And so you've got to have cash to cover that. And then over time, maybe you start having some more sales, but you're not quite at that level where you're making enough money to get paid for yourself. And then that has implications to your personal life. It makes it challenging to pay your bills. It makes challenging to provide for your family or do the things in your personal goals to accomplish. And so think about how that kind of relates to you. What are the challenges you're seeing? Even if you are profitable, could you be more profitable? Could you make some minor tweaks to make a little bit more margin? Could you be then not only satisfying your personal needs and hitting your personal goals, but could you be creating more of a cash reserve in your business to not only fund future activities, future growth, but also to weather if there were another challenge, hopefully not of the magnitude of the pandemic, but any kind of challenge that might surface. Excuse me. So when we have cash flow and when we're making profit, we certainly have more choices, and that's really important. That's what I want you to keep in mind. And so throughout we have issue-focused conversations like we talked about yesterday with our stakeholders, and implement 2 new routines as described on the resource page number 16. So I'm just going to drop this last part of the workbook in the chat, and then we're going to talk about these new routines because it's really important. This is kind of the final piece of the puzzle, because unless we change our behavior, we're going to end up with the same results. So we have to do something different in order to get a different result. Okay. Perfect. So I'll just drop that in the chat. So if you want to flip over to page 16, that's where we're going to talk through these new routines. Okay. So the way things should be happening on a given monthly basis, you should be having your bank account statements, credit card statements, all those statements reconciled, making sure that everything's okay with them. Then the bookkeeping should be done on a monthly basis. So many of you might be thinking, oh, I only give my stuff to the accountant once a year. I don't know my numbers. That's not sufficient. So whether you're going to keep track of it in Excel or you're going to keep track of it in an accounting software really depends on your comfort. It also depends on your size of business. So that's a decision you will need to make, but something should be done monthly so that you can monitor your financial position, particularly all your sales and all your expenses for the month. So that's kind of the more technical, I'm going to call it the support role. None of that needs to be done by you. And bookkeepers are actually fairly inexpensive. So if you find someone that you know, like, and trust, you certainly should get referrals from people you know, people who've been happy with their services. But somebody can do that for 45 to 60 an hour. If you're a smaller business, that wouldn't take very many hours in a particular month. So for a couple $100, you can get that all done. Have peace of mind because now the information's coming back. So this is now where you step into your leadership, CEO, founder, owner role. And it's the management part that you see there on page 16. And so the first thing you want to do when you get those results, and so just to give you an idea about time frame. So if we are currently on today, June 18th, the results that we would be looking at are from May, the month of May. So by this time, June 18th, our bookkeeper or us should have already reconciled our statements. We should have done our bookkeeping into our accounting software or Excel, however we're going to do it. And now our financial statements for the month of May should be available. That's a pretty reasonable time frame. It might take a few more days if it's more complex, if you have more transactions. So being in this ballpark though, for this many days after the prior month ended, this is reasonable. It's not necessarily reasonable to have it done the first week of the month. Okay. Some of you might, and that would be great, but that's not the standard. So mid to third week of the month is really ideal. So the first thing you're going to do is review those results. What do they say? And if you can, ideally, it's good to look at it across several months so that you can see if there's any trending. It's good if you can compare this month of 2021 to last year, same month. Certainly, we're going to compare weird situations because we're into our second year of pandemic, and so things are not quite as normal, but we can look at that. And then ideally, we've got a budget prepared, so we're comparing those actuals to what our budget said, and we're able to then take a look to say, are things on track with where we wanted them to be? The next thing we want to do is assess how did our cash flow go compared to what we projected it to be. And I'm a huge advocate of when you do your cash flow forecast, you do it for 6 months out into the future. You've got a projected and an actual column. So when you first do the projection, you're projecting 6 months out. You come along for the end of May, you enter your actual, take a look, see how well you did. Based on what you're seeing, you might adjust the next 5 months, and then you're going to add on a sixth month into the future. As we talked about on Tuesday, the farther we go out into the future, the more hazy it is. We don't have as much certainty about what's going to happen. We're not really clear on how that's going to land. But as we progress closer to that date, we certainly get a little bit more sightline and more knowledge. So that's absolutely key. Having a key performance indicator dashboard and having some graphs that you can monitor is great so that you can monitor trends. You can certainly set that up in your QuickBooks. When I work with clients, we do that in Excel. So we've got maybe 10 to 12 key performance indicators. We don't want to have too many. We want to monitor the things that are important for this business in this particular industry so that it alerts us if things get off track from where we were expecting, and we can do something about it. We don't want to be waiting till we get our year-end results and then like 14, 15 months later after the year passed, or the month where we first had a problem, we start to see it and there's nothing we can do about it. Because when we can start seeing things are not trending as we expect, we can take action right away. If we see something we like, we can do more of it. So if we're finding that a particular marketing campaign is generating really great results, how can we double down on that? How can we make sure we're doing more of that business? And then the final thing is when you have a cash flow forecast, if you have a business decision to be made, you can save another version. I typically, when I work with my clients, we use Excel for the cash flow forecast. It's quite straightforward to use. I'd save another version, and let's pretend we want to bring on a new team member. Which months do we want to bring them on? How much are they going to cost? Let's plot that into our cash flow forecast and see what that does. Do we have cash flow existing to pay for that and make that meaningful and make it work? Or would we maybe need to generate more sales? Maybe we need to bring that person on and onboard them before they're going to be able to potentially drive sales or actually free up our time. Maybe we have to put some personal money in there to cover that temporarily until that person gets up and running. Our time gets freed up to maybe do more sales. Maybe we want to buy a piece of equipment. Maybe we need a new software. As we're growing and our strategy is changing in our business, we're absolutely going to have to continually make investment. People are usually the number one, and that's generally where small businesses, as they're going to grow, that's their first big investments. And it's always a challenge knowing, do I have enough stable cash flow to be able to pay for this? How does that look? Okay. So those are all the kinds of management things that you're going to do. If you're not spending time on your financial results regularly, I highly encourage you to do it at a minimum monthly. I think weekly is a really great cadence. When we were in the cash flow forecasting section, I'm just going to find the page number in your book. On page 5, we talked about the 5 steps to cash flow clarity. So we had the initial balance, we were estimating the inflows, estimating the outflows, putting it all together. And then step 5 was making it a routine all day, every day. And I probably made a joke at that point around, it's not an all day, every day thing. But if we can carve out a half an hour weekly to do different parts of our financial management routine, we're going to feel so much more confident. We're going to feel less stressed. We're going to be less anxious because number one, not only now do we actually know the numbers. That's the first thing. We're going to know them. We're not guessing. We're not imagining the worst case scenario. We know the numbers. We're able to then take action. We can make changes in our strategy. We can make more sales calls if we need to. We can revise our pricing. We can look into getting lower cost suppliers. We can actually be in the driver's seat. And I can tell you that having that knowledge about the numbers, Knowing that you are in control, whether or not the results are good, doesn't change that part at this point in time when you're just getting the knowledge. All of that, though, brings down stress and anxiety and allows you to move forward with actual steps to change things. When you're stuck in, I don't know, I think it's really bad, I don't want to check, I don't want my bookkeeper accountant to think I'm stupid, I don't know how to do it. When you stay in limbo and you don't actually quantify it, the potential size of the problem, it becomes this big, massive thing that consumes us and weighs us down. We're not sleeping, we're having trouble doing our work, all that kind of stuff. So I have found in my experience that when you can quantify an issue, and it's not always an issue sometimes, most times I actually hear, wow, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And this is actually talking about the actual numbers. So that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Wow, I wish I had done that sooner. I would say 95% of the times I work with clients, as soon as we get into it, we're a couple weeks into working together, they say, I wish I had taken this training before. I knew I wasn't ready and I didn't take that step, but oh my gosh, how my business would have changed if I had done this before. Okay. And the piece around it is that we're on this financial fitness journey. We're always moving forward. We're always building on our knowledge, and we're all starting at a different place. So I gave the analogy earlier in the week, but just want to reiterate it here for those who might be catching it for the first time. It's just like physical fitness. We might be taking this first step around the block. We're stepping off the couch. We're going to walk around the block. That's where we're starting on our physical fitness journey. Or we might be training for a marathon. All those people in between and those two endpoints, they're all on a physical fitness journey, but they're not at the same place. And it's really a lifelong journey. Same thing with financial fitness. We might be just getting to know about business bank accounts, business credit facilities, those kinds of things. Or we might be looking for ways that we can access more credit because we know we're going to be massively ramping up our sales. We're expanding into other countries. And so everyone's in a different place with their business financial knowledge, but we're all on this journey to become financially fit, and where we are starting is okay. Wherever you are, that's where you should proudly start. You move ahead, taking small, imperfect actions every day. You're going to make some missteps. You're going to mess stuff up. Everybody does. The key is that you don't just shut down and say, I knew I was bad at numbers. I knew I couldn't do this. You regroup, you get back on the path. We continue on the financial fitness journey. And so one piece around that is I want everyone to take into heart and to really take it in is that we need to be kind to ourselves during this process. We need to be able to have flexibility. We need to cut ourselves some slack. We don't expect perfection from everyone around us. So when we're learning new things, we make mistakes. But that's because we're doing something new. We're trying something new. We're figuring it out. If you want to minimize the number of mistakes you make, you get someone to help you, someone who's gone there ahead of you. And certainly that's what I'm here for. It's been my privilege to support entrepreneurs for over 20 years, working with them directly, as I said, in my business that I formed after I left my long corporate career serving entrepreneurs. We work together in a group through the Cash Control Bootcamp or one-on-one, whatever is appropriate and what you need, because it's meeting you where you are. Excuse me. Tickle in my throat today. So it's so my privilege to be able to do that. And I get such a kick out of it. I get energized and inspired with the entrepreneurs I was working with this week to see the delight when things click and to know that I had a small part in making that happen. That's why I do what I do. And that's why I love it. So we finished off all the stuff on page 11. So I want to flip us over to page number 12 and to get into our key takeaway. So close your eyes, think about this, jot some notes down in your workbook after you hear it. If I step up as the CEO or founder or business owner of the complete business, including the financial side, what will that look like and how will I feel? So if I step up and I'm taking control of that financial side of my business, what will that look like and how will that feel? Okay. What would be possible? If you knew what was going on the number side of your business, could you maybe expand to new clients? Could you put in place that new offering you've always wanted to do? If you've got a physical premises and you've got a physical location, could you expand to add another one? Could you add on more services that were maybe online that can generate even more revenue? Maybe you can figure out how to bring on more team members to drive more sales, or as I was talking about earlier, to take away some of the things from an operational perspective so that you can spend more time on sales or client delivery, or to just be, to think about the strategy of your business, maybe to spend more time with your family. Maybe you've got other things that you want to pursue. Maybe you're thinking about a book. Maybe you're thinking about doing other stuff. What would be possible? What are all the things in your mind? Like when you first thought about creating your business, what were those things you thought about? How was that going to be? So if you could control the numbers, you could actually take action when they were going well or not going well. If you could use them to help you as you drive strategy in your business, and whether you're one person in your business or you're 20 or you're 100, it's all the same. We can use those numbers to help drive us forward and to get things that we want. And that was the reason that most people started their business, to be able to have the kind of life that they wanted. And sometimes without that focus on the numbers, we get in this trap where we can't do the things that we want and generate the things that we want. And so we don't have freedom, flexibility, and we're not getting those things. How can we start to do that? And it takes time. So we might need to make some changes, and it might be over the next 6 months that we get that handled. So if I step up as the CEO of the complete business, including the financial side, what will that look like and how will I feel? So jot some notes down in your workbook, because that's really key. What would be possible? What is that thing that seems out of reach right now that you would love to do? Think about that. And so your action item from today's session is, what are the next actions that I need to take to step up as the CEO of my complete business? Remember, you don't have to do it alone, and small forward steps count and do matter, because we can't change everything in one day. If we try to, we're probably going to be unsuccessful. And so that will be a challenge. Just going to pause to see if there's any questions. I know this is a little bit more of a personal one, so everyone's going to have probably a private thought around what they want to see in their business, what's going on, what matters to them. And so I'm not going to put anybody on the spot and ask anybody to share. But if you'd like to share in the chat, would love to hear that. And so, like I mentioned yesterday, we're at this place where we can go forward in one of two ways. I am delighted that you've been here all week, whether you've been live, whether you've been catching the replays, and it's been my privilege to support you and provide this training. And you can tell me, Tracy, I've got the things on my action item list. I know what I'm going to do. I'm good. I'm going to go off and implement that. And that's wonderful. And so I'd love to keep in touch. I want to find out how it's going. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear the progress, see the progress. If there's any way I can support your business, I would love to do that, either by sharing information with others, sending referrals your way. I really want to help you be successful. So look for me on LinkedIn. I will, in this afternoon's email, I'll make sure I put my LinkedIn address so you can feel free to connect with me there. So that's one path. You've got what you need. You're moving on. We're going to stay in touch. We also have, I'll drop it in the chat, we've got a weekly club where we get together. I don't want to call it a networking event. bizmoneyclub.com. I think that's the right link. We get together weekly, Wednesday nights. We talk about business things. It's casual. It's a drop-in. We're not doing formal presentations. I'll generally talk about something I'm seeing as a trending, and then we'll just talk about things people want to talk about their business. If you can make it 1 week, you pop by. You can't, you come another week. And so would love to get you on the list for Biz Money Club so that you can get those reminders. You can join us weekly and keep the conversation going. Excuse me. I know that for most of us, it can be a lonely thing running a business. So having a place where you can get dedicated time just to be with other business owners and talk about those kinds of things that you don't have anybody to talk about them with, that's a great resource. And we've been having fun in those sessions. So bizmoneyclub.com. come and join us there. I know now for some of you, you've learned, you have this list of action items. You've really been thinking thoughtfully at night about what are the things I need to do. And you know you can do it, but you're not quite sure how. You're not sure how quickly you're going to be able to do it with everything else you've got on your plate. And you know that you do better with accountability and with someone to show you the way. I'm a huge fan of business coaches. Since I started my business, I've always been working with a business coach. And for the very simple reason that I know I can make money, but I can't make more time. I can't put more hours in my day. And I like to do things. And I know that when I have to figure them all out on my own, it takes me longer. And so the chances of me being successful in doing that are not as strong. So I'm very self-aware about that part about me. And so I like to have that support. I like to have someone show me. I like to have someone keep me accountable and keep going. So I can implement faster and keep moving on and doing new things that I really enjoy. And it's not because I don't like the stuff. It's because I just want to do it easier, make less mistakes, go faster, have somebody show me the way. And so if that's you, I highly invite you to join us for the Cash Control Bootcamp. It's our 6-week live online group program. We're working on Zoom just like we are now. There is a pre-assessment and a post-assessment so you can measure your progress through the bootcamp. There are worksheets and templates that we use each week as we move through the curriculum. What you saw this week really scratched the surface. So we're going to go way deeper. We're actually going to create that cash flow forecast. We're actually going to use a pricing tool. And that's just the kind of the tip of the iceberg. The link is here in the chat. So for those who are here live, you can grab it there. I highly encourage you to check it out, as well as book a call with me. I want you to see if this is the right fit for you, because you might want support, but it may not be to do this. And it may not be to work in a group. And so let's figure out what you need and let's talk about that and figure out what's the right fit. I'm going to be super candid with you when we have these calls. My goal is not to sell you something. My goal is to help you get to the next place you want to be. If you've got a list of action items, you've got a plan to implement them, and you feel confident about that, I'm going to wish you well and ask you to stay in touch with me so that I can continue to support your business. If I think there's a fit and there's something that I can do and Visit Financial can do to support you, I'm going to talk about that too. I know the group program is not for everyone. I know some people want personalized support. I know people might want to learn about something else other than what's in the Cash Control Bootcamp. So if you're thinking about it at all, or you know you need the support, but you're not quite sure what kind of support, let's have that call. If you already know though, that you want that support, you want to go deeper on what you've seen this week, if you know that that's going to make a big difference in your business, if you know that's going to kickstart your last 6 months of the year, get registered now. Okay. Would love to have you join us. It is so fun in our Cash Control Bootcamp. We have great conversations and just all of the insights that come out, not only from me sharing what I know, but from the fellow participants. And that's one of the magical parts of it. And then people support each other's businesses, which is really cool because every industry is different. Everyone's doing things that they have a special talent and they're passionate about. So you get to spend the time with energized, excited entrepreneurs who are taking control of their financial future. So I invite you to join me in the Cash Control Bootcamp. If you're on the fence, book the call. Let's talk about it. It is not a waste of my time. I want to support you and I want you to succeed in your business. And let's make sure that you have the pathway to get that stuff in place. So let's book those implementation calls. As I said, Cash Control Bootcamp, we're kicking off July 8th. So you have a couple weeks to kind of sort things out. Do want you to register now so that the spaces are available. As I said, we do usually have a small group. So we want to make sure that there's a place for you if you want to be with us. And we certainly do want all of you to join us. As a reminder, we've got some bonus sessions. And so this is the end of our formal training for the week. It's the end of our use of the workbook. So keep this workbook, keep your notes on it, make sure you've got a consolidated list of your action items. We're going into bonus sessions tomorrow. So tomorrow's all Q&A, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern. Sunday is all around money mindset. and how you can change yours. And that's usually a very popular session because sometimes people are not thinking about that. If you've never been posed the question, how do you think about things? What's your money story? What happened to you when you were 5 years old? You're probably not thinking about that stuff. So that'll be a great one. I also understand it's the weekend. People might be out in the nice weather. So if you can join me live, I would so appreciate it. But I also understand people might be catching the replays. Monday, we're doing client case studies. So you can hear from people in their own words, the benefit and the impact that the Cash Control Bootcamp has had on them. And so that's going to be a great way if you're kind of solidifying that. Would love to get on the call before that though, so we can talk through things, and then I can certainly let you know which person might be the best for you to focus on, so that you can hear if there were similar concerns or challenges as they embarked on the journey. And then Tuesday, we wrap everything up, and then we're moving on. We're getting back to business as usual, refocusing on our clients, getting those who are enrolled in the bootcamp, getting those set up. And so replays will be available till Wednesday night. We're going to be taking them down. So the weekend is a great place to catch up on your replays. Great place to jot down any notes, jot down those action items, and really reach out if you have any questions. You've got so many ways to reach me. Hit reply on the emails. Send me a message on any social platform. If you head over to our website, you can find all the places I am. So there's no reason not to reach out, and it would really be my honor to be able to support you and help you get the pieces all together in the puzzle, so that you can really tackle this financial side of your business. So with that, I'm going to call today's session. I'm going to stop the recording. So for those who are here live in the room, you can jump out and ask any questions once the recording is stopped. Have a wonderful Friday. Think about what you need in your business. Think about where you are in your financial fitness journey. And if you know you need support, let's get started today. Book that Cash Control Bootcamp registration. If you know you need support, but you're not sure what type, let's get on the call. And if you just want to talk through your implementation plan, I'm here for that as well, because I want you to be able to accomplish everything you want to in your business. And so I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.